بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين وعلى من تبع هداهم إلى يوم الدين. After praising Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and passing salutation upon His Messenger Muhammad, may peace and blessings be upon him, we go ahead with the companions, and tonight we will discuss two, one female and one male. We'll start with the female because she is knowledgeable, more knowledgeable than the male. That is Aisha radiallahu anha, the daughter of Abu Bakr as-Siddiq. Aisha, she's the daughter of Abu Bakr, whose name is Abdullah, as we said, ibn Uthman radiallahu anhu. And her mother is Ruman, and she is Bint, the daughter of Amir ibn Uwaymir al-Kinaniyah. She was born before the revelation was given to the Prophet ﷺ by 4 or 5 years. Listen, she was born before the Prophet of Allah received the revelation by 4 or 5 years. Prophet ﷺ, he married her when she was 6, and it was said also it was 7. And by combining these two narrations, we could say that she had finished her 6th and she entered her 7th year, and he had married her after the death of Khadija radiallahu anha, and that was before the hijrah by 3 years. By 3 years. So, if it is the case, how old would she be at the time of the hijrah? So, she was born at the time when the Prophet ﷺ received revelation by 4, before the revelation by 4 or 5 years. Let's say it's 4 years. So she's 4 years before the revelation. And she married the Prophet ﷺ, that is before the hijrah, by 3 years. How old was she at the time of the hijrah? Now, how? Old? Yes. Now, tell me, 17. Yeah. So, at the time of the hijrah, now, by the way, she was born, not before the hijrah, after the revelation, by 4 years. He says she's 13. She's 9. 9. True or not? Okay. Now, you know that the hijrah took place after the revelation by how many? 13 years old. 13 years. So after the hijrah. So if we deduct 13, take out 4 from that, we're left with what? 9. That's all. So she was 9 years old. When she married the Prophet ﷺ, she was either 6 or 7, depending. We said that she had finished her 6th year and entered her 7th year. She was also Bakr, that means virgin, when she was married to the Prophet of Allah. And he did not, the Prophet of Allah, marry any other woman who is virgin except for Aisha radiallahu anha. He made the consummation of the marriage when she was 9 years old. That means just at the time of the hijrah. And it's just before or just after. That's where the scholars are different. Before or after. Is it straight away after or before? And there was 2 women who were married almost similar at the same time. Herself and Sauda. Sauda bint Zam'a and Aisha radiallahu anha. She was given a kunya, Abdullah. There was a narration that she had given birth of Abdullah, but that's not authentic. So she did not have Abdullah, but she was given the kunya of Abdullah, the mother of Abdullah. It is narrated in Sahih Bukhari and Muslim that Aisha, she says that the Prophet ﷺ married me when I was 6 years old. And the narration in Muslim of Ahmad, he says that he married me after Khadija had died, and before he migrated to the Medina by 2 or 3 years. And I was 7 years old. So one narration says 6 and one narration was 7 when she got married to the Prophet of Allah. And he consummated the marriage when I was 9 years old. And he died when I was 18 years old. Now, the story of the marriage. She says, we came to the Medina and فَوْعِكْتُ شَهْرًا. I got ill with the fever. Wa'k is illness through the fever. So فَتَمَرَّقَ شَعْرِي حَتَّى وَفَى جُمَيْمَةً. That my hair started to fall down because of the fever, and then after that it started to recover until it reached Jumayma, which is up to her ears. So Ruman is her mother, she came to me and I was على أرجوحة, on a swing. And I had my friends. So she screamed at me, she yelled at me, she called me, and I came to her. And I don't know what did she want from me. And that tells us that the Prophet of Allah married her, consummated the marriage after the hijrah, not before. That's the correct authentic. So she took hold of my hand and she took me to the door of the Prophet ﷺ. And she said, and I said, like a person who's like, he's surprised if something had happened. And I almost catching up with my breath, out of breath. So she made me go into the house and I saw women from the other side. They said, عَلَى الْخَيْرِ وَالْبَرَكَةِ, upon khayr and barakah, upon good and blessings. وَعَلَى خَيْرِ طَائِرٍ, and inshallah good nasib. We say in Arabic, good nasib, that means you'll have inshallah good husband, bi-idhnillah. فَأَسْلَمَتْنِي إِلَيْهِمْ, she gave me, my mother, to them. فَغَسَلْنَا رَأْسِي, they washed my head. وَأَصْلَحْنَنِي, and they have fixed me up as a bride. They fixed me up. فَلَمْ يَرُعْنِي إِلَّا وَرَسُولُ اللَّهِ صَلَّى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وَسَلَّمَ ضُحًى فَأَسْلَمَنِي إِلَيْهِ. Then straight away, what surprised me, I saw that the Prophet ﷺ, and he has surprised me, and he surprised me, came at that time, and I didn't really think about it, he's going to be coming. I didn't think it was him, or I didn't think it would be, I would see the Prophet of Allah. And the Prophet ﷺ, he had consummated the marriage. So the consummation of the marriage, when she was 9 years old. She remembers it very well. That means she was mature. She's not adult, but she was mature. In Muslim Imam Ahmad, the hadith is narrated here from Abu Salama and Yahya. They said, when Khadija died, radiallahu anha, when Khadija died, radiallahu anha, Khawlah bint Hakim, the wife of Uthman ibn Mad'un, she came and she said, Messenger of Allah, don't you want to get married? I said, Prophet Allah, he said, who? She said, if you wish, a virgin, or if you wish, non-virgin. So he said, who is the virgin? So I said, it is the daughter of the most beloved creation of Allah to you, Aisha, the daughter of Abu Bakr. So he said, and who is the non-virgin? She said, Sauda bint Zam'a. She believed in you and she followed you. And she followed what you have said. So he said, okay, go ahead and mention them. And mention them to their relatives, to their parents, to their wedding. Mention them, that means ask if they are willing to, I'm presenting myself as a candidate here, potential husband. So she entered the house of Abu Bakr. And she said, O Ruman, Allah has given you a lot of khayr, good, and a lot of barakah. She said, what happened? She said, well, the Prophet of Allah had sent me in order to ask for the hand of Aisha in engagement. So she said, wait for Abu Bakr until Abu Bakr comes. Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu came. She said, Abu Bakr, oh Allah subhanAllah, had entered upon you a lot of goodness and a lot of barakah, blessing. He said, what is that? So the Prophet of Allah had sent me to ask for the hand of Aisha in marriage. So he said, is she fit for him? For verily she is the daughter of his brother. So he went back to the Prophet ﷺ, and she mentioned that. So the Prophet ﷺ, he said to her, go back to her, and he said, yes, I'm your brother, and you are my brother. I am your brother, and you are my brother in Islam, and your daughter is fit for me. SubhanAllah. He thought the brotherhood that got together, it does not make him to be allowed to marry the daughter of his. So she went back and she mentioned that to him. So he said, wait, and then he left. And Ruman, she said, Abu Bakr now left, and Ruman is talking to Khawla. Verily Mut'im ibn Adi. He's the person, Mut'im ibn Adi, non-Muslim, and he became a Muslim, and she said that he mentioned Aisha for the sake of his son. But Abu Bakr did not give a promise, a decisive promise regarding this issue. So Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, he wanted to check upon him. So he went to Mut'im ibn Adi, and he had his wife, the mother of that person who's a candidate for his daughter, Aisha. So the mother or the wife of Mut'im, she said, Yabna Abi Quhafa. That is Abu Bakr. Verily, maybe, and that's Mut'im at the moment, he's not a Muslim nor his wife. So she said, maybe you are about to make your son, so you make our son to be following the religion of yours. So if we are going to give you our son to your daughter, verily maybe you're going to tempt our son to enter the religion of yours. Abu Bakr, he said to Mut'im, are you saying the same thing as her? As your wife? For verily, he said, well, she's saying this. So Abu Bakr left, and he said, verily, whatever I had in my heart regarding that person, from the promise, is not there anymore. Then he said to Khawla, call for me the Prophet ﷺ. So she called him, and he had accepted for him to be the husband of his daughter. And Aisha at that time, she was 6 years old. This is one of the narrations. And then she left. And then she went straight away to Sauda Bint Zam'ah. And she said, oh, how much good and blessings Allah had given you today. What's happening? So the Messenger of Allah had sent for me to ask for your hand in marriage. He said, well, I would like that, but go to my father first and mention that to him. And he was a very old man. And because he was an old man, he was not really able to go to Hajj. So she entered upon him, and she given him the greeting of the Jahiliyyah, not the greeting of the Islam. So he said, who is this? He said, Khawla bint Hakim. What happened? He said, well, Muhammad ibn Abdullah, he sent for your daughter, that is Sauda, to ask her in marriage. He said, oh, he is a noble, and he is a fit husband. What does your friend say? I mean Sauda. She said, well, verily she likes that. He said, then call her for me. So I called her. He said, daughter, she claims, this woman, that Muhammad, son of Abdullah, he had asked for your hand. And he is a noble, and he is also a fitting person. Do you like to marry him? She said, yes. Then he said, call him for me. Prophet ﷺ went to him, and he had given him her hand in marriage. Then her brother, Abd ibn Zum'ah, or Zam'ah, he came from the Hajj, and he started putting sand on his head. And after he embraced Islam, he said, verily you are a person who is an idiot. When you were putting the sand on my head. that the Prophet ﷺ had got married to Sauda, because he was not really happy with that. Aisha, she said, we went to the Medina and we entered on the tribe of Banu al-Harith from the Khazraj, and she said that the Prophet ﷺ, he came to us, he entered our house, and some of the men of the Ansar came to him, and some of the women of the Ansar came to me, and my mother, she came to me while I was on my swing, and then she had made me to step down, and I had my hair up to my ears, and she had wiped my head or my face with water, and then she dragged me, or she accompanied me until we stood against the door, and I was out of breath. And when she entered, there was the Prophet ﷺ. He was sitting on the bed in our house, and he had men, women from the Ansar. So she put me in his lap, and she said, those are your people. So those are your family, sorry. For verily Allah give barakah into them, and may Allah give barakah in you for them, and them for you as well. The women and the men, they were straight away left. For the Prophet ﷺ, he had to consummate the marriage, and verily she said, we did not have any animals being slaughtered, like the camels whatsoever, or even the shah and lamb, except for Sa'd ibn Ubadah. He's a well-known, when we come to Sa'd ibn Ubadah, Sa'd ibn Ubadah, he was well-known for his generosity. He used to bring all the time some food to the Prophet ﷺ, especially when he is about to marry a woman. So every time he marries, he sends food. Sa'd ibn Ubadah, radiallahu anhu, and she said, I was 9 years old. Ash-Sha'bi, he says, Masruq, he used to say that if he talks about Aisha, he would say, Haddathatni. That means she informed me. As-Sadiqa, the truthful. Ibnatu Siddiq, the daughter of Siddiq, Habibatu Habibillah, the lover of the lover of Allah. That means the Prophet ﷺ. Masruq used to say, I used to see the senior companions of the Prophet of Allah asking her, Aisha, about the inheritance. She means even she knows inheritance and the laws of inheritance and maths and all of that. Ata ibn Abi Rabah used to say, and he's from the followers, Aisha is from the most knowledgeable people. Yes, she was the most faqih, and she was the most sedate and prudent regarding her opinion. Az-Zuhri, he said, if the knowledge of Aisha is to compare to the knowledge of all the mothers of the believers, okay, and then all the knowledge of all women, then the knowledge of Aisha would be better. This is Imam Az-Zuhri, which was well known. If the knowledge of Aisha is compared to the knowledge of all the mothers of the believers, that means all the knowledge, like Khadija and all of them, Khadija and radiallahu anha and Habiba and Salama and Zainab and Safiya and Juwayriya, all of them, compared to the knowledge, and also added them the knowledge of all women, Aisha's knowledge will be better. In Sahih Bukhari and Muslim, on the authority of Musa al-Ash'ari, the Prophet ﷺ said, Aisha's excellence over the women is like the excellence of the tharid. The tharid is a special food which is regarded to be the best at that time compared to the rest of the food. In Sahih Bukhari, Hisham ibn Urwa is Ibn Zubayr. So Zubayr is the husband of Asma, and Asma happens to be the sister of Aisha. So Urwa becomes what? The nephew of Aisha. So Hisham is the son of the nephew. So he said, people used to, this is Sahih Bukhari, he said, people used to, every time they want to give a gift to the Prophet ﷺ, they will give the gift to the Prophet of Allah on the day where he is with Aisha. So, Aisha, she says, my co-wives, the co-wives, she said, my sawahib, my friends, but they are the co-wives, they got together and with Salama. They said, oh Salama, by Allah, people all the time strive hard to give the gifts to the Prophet of Allah on the day of Aisha, and verily we would love that khair, that good. Just like Aisha, she wants it. So you command the Prophet ﷺ to command the people to give him the gifts at any time and wherever he is. Wherever the Prophet is. Not to be specifying Aisha only. So Salama, she mentioned that to the Prophet ﷺ. So the Prophet of Allah ignored her. Then they returned back to her and they mentioned that to Salama. Go ahead and ask the Prophet of Allah. So she comes and tells the Prophet of Allah ignores her. Then again the woman comes to the Salama, telling her, you should tell him, mention that the people should come and she's command the people to come at any time, not just to choose the day of Aisha. So she mentioned that for the third time. So he said to her, Salama, don't harm me regarding Aisha. For verily, by Allah, the revelation, that is Jibreel salam, never came to me while I am inside the quilt of one of the women except for her. Do you understand that? Jibreel came to me while I was under the lihaf, under the quilt, with her. None of you had this privilege. That Jibreel came while I was with one of you under the quilt. In As-Sahiha, Silsila Sahih Shaykh Al-Albani, rahimahullah, 1142, Aisha, he said, is my wife in Jannah. Now, all the wives, the Prophet of Allah, they will be his wives in Jannah, but he specifies her. He says, Aisha zawji, or zawjati fil Jannah. In Sahih Al-Bukhari, Aisha, she said, for verily from the blessings of Allah upon me, that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he died in my house, in my room, and in my day, and between my sahr and nahr, here in this area, he died. Between my sahri and nahr. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had gathered between my saliva and his saliva at the time of his death. How? When the Prophet of Allah was dying, Abdul Rahman, my brother, entered and he had the siwak in his hand. And I was giving support to the Prophet ﷺ. And I have seen the Prophet of Allah looking at him, at Abdul Rahman. But I knew that he was in need of that siwak because he loves the siwak. So she said, shall I take it from him? He pointed with his head because he can't talk. Yes. So I took it from the hand of my brother. And I started making it softer for him, chewing it. So she said to him, shall I make it softer for you? Because he took first of all, the Prophet took it and it was hard for him. So she said, shall I make it softer for you? He said, yes, with his head. So she took it and she chewed it. And then the Prophet ﷺ, he started making the siwak with his mouth, in his mouth. And verily, he had like a pot which has got water. He started putting his hand in the pot and wiping his head or face with that water and saying, La ilaha illallah. Verily, death has stupors. Stupors means sakarat. We call them as well pangs. Yeah, pangs of death. Stupors, maybe a better word? That's stupors. Then he started putting his hand up and he said, for Rafiq al-A'la, with the highest companions, until he had passed away, until his soul was captured, taken, and his hand tilted like this. That means death. She died in the year 58. And that is on the night of Tuesday, 17th of Ramadan. So she died in the year 58 after Hijrah, and she was buried as well in the Bakr. She was buried in the Bakr. So if it is the case, I'm asking, how old was she when she died? Yeah, like, huh? 18?
When she died, sorry.
Right, when she died. Yeah, not when he died, how old was she? How old? She died in the year 58. 58 after Hijrah. So is that right? So how old was she at the time of the Hijrah? We said 9. So she died 58. No. Was that right? Is it? 67 she? 58, right? Yeah. Calculation? Huh? 60? Right, okay. Right, when she died, she was 67 or 68 years old. So, 58 Hijrah. Yes. Wallahu a'lam. Correct. My maths today is not working. Right, good. This is to do with Aisha radiallahu anha. If you have any questions before we go to Abu Darda radiallahu anha. Any questions, please go ahead. Yes, uncle.
Sheikh, you mentioned the marriage of Aisha and Salama. You mentioned the role of the wali. Did you mention about the mahar, about the walima, about the witnesses? Was not that the rule at that time?
The walima of the witnesses?
Oh, no. You didn't mention the walima, you didn't mention the mahar,
Yeah.
you didn't mention the...
No, we don't really, first of all, we didn't really go into the details. If we don't go into details, it doesn't mean they're not existing. So, we had the approval of the wedding. And you have noticed that at the beginning there was Sharia is being still, being sent down to the Prophet. Sauda bin Zam'a, her father was not a disbeliever. And he was a wali. But later on the Prophet of Allah, he said, there's no wilayah for those people who are disbelievers over the believers. So at the beginning, it was different from later on. Also, Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, he had asked for the hand of his daughter, somebody who was a non-Muslim. So it wasn't really the case, it wasn't allowed at that time. But later on, it was not allowed. You're not allowed to marry from the polytheist. You're not allowed, you give the hand of your daughter to a polytheist. So there are lots of things were being derived. As for the mahar and the dowry was something which is known from before. Even the Christians, they know about that. And that is why at the time of Habiba, when she was sent to the Prophet ﷺ, the one who prepared her is An-Najashi, Ashama, and he had sent her dowry with her. That means the dowry was known to the Christians even at that time. So there was dowry. When the women and the man marries in Christians, there is something called dowry. And the word dowry is an English word, which is known. Do you understand me? It's a word which is known as the mahar. So it's the money given to the bride before consummation of the marriage. So it is known to the Christian and known to the Jews as well, known to these religion who are coming from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. How much was the dowry of the Prophet ﷺ? In totality, the Prophet ﷺ, we know that he did not give any wife of his a dowry more than, or even one of his daughters were being married to more than 12 uqiyah, 12 ounces. This is the maximum. And the Prophet of Allah, he said in general, that the best of the women whom her dowry is accessible. Not to be little, but accessible. Means it can be afforded. So, من يمن المرأة تيسير صداقها. From the best or from the blessings of a woman is to make her dowry accessible. Accessible, that means depending upon the husband. So if the husband is capable, it's no problem to put it, for example, 10,000 if he's capable of doing to 10,000. But if he is not capable, you give him mahar of 10, 20 pounds or 10, 100 pounds. So depending upon how much the husband can afford. And this is the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ that we need to adhere to. And remember, as I said, we are still in the phase of Makkiyan before we went to Medina. So lots of things in the Medina, they were to do with the ahkam. In Mecca, all the revelation was to do with monotheism and aqidah. And in the ahkam, all these things that took place regarding marriage and dowry and mahar and also regarding the wali and regarding the inheritance, all of that in Medina. Nothing to do with Mecca. No. تفضل. can we go over the dispute between Aisha and Ali? This is to do with Khawarij class. We've done that Khawarij class up. And it's not really something that we'd like to talk about it. We don't like to talk about the disputes that took place between the companions. But if there is somebody who's got a problem in understanding this, then we will explain. And I'll tell you what, there was no dispute between Ali and Aisha in terms of love. For verily, Aisha radiallahu anha, when she's approached to be asked about the night prayer of the Prophet ﷺ, she gave the answer. But when that man asked about the prayer of the journey, she said, I'm going to point you to a man that nobody was on the face of the earth more knowledgeable than him at that time. That is after the death of Abu Bakr and Umar and Uthman. She said, Ali ibn Abi Talib. Even there is, you could say, I wouldn't say a dispute, but there is something like a disagreement regarding some issues. Disagreement. And Ali ibn Abi Talib radiallahu anhu never ever would dishonor the wife of the Prophet of Allah. In the battle of Al-Jamal, he himself put her on the Jamal. And he honored her, radiallahu anha, the mother of the believers, because she's a mother of his. He honored her, Ali ibn Abi Talib. And don't you ever listen to Lut Abu Lut Mikhnaf, this man. This man is a Shia who was away with lots of booklets and books regarding the incidents in which he had spread his, he's a Shia, spread his venom and talked about things which are not correct, unauthentic. We don't believe in that. Hisham al-Distwai and about 2-3 people are, we call them Shia Muhtariqah, burn Shia. Let them burn with their rage. Okay, so they talk about Aisha radiallahu anha doing things which is not even befitting to a normal woman, never mind to be fitting to a wife of a prophet. They call her as well names, waliyadu billah. Like for example, that she's Humayra, the donkey, means a donkey, she's calling her, or she's the Baqarah, whom Allah commanded to slaughter. Allah yamurukum tadbahu Baqarah, that means Aisha. And all of that sort of things, a'udhu billah. So they used to love each other, and the love in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and Ali ibn Talib, he had honored her. Aisha radiallahu anha, she was wrong in what she has done in terms of coming out to that Jamal, and she confessed that. She said since that day that she never stopped crying and giving sadaqah to expiate her mistake, until she used to wet her veil because of what she's done. When she left and she was about to come back, but Talha and Zubayr radiallahu anhu, I said, no, the mother, if you go there, people will come around you, will settle the issue, no problem. All of it to do with the death and the killing of Uthman. That's all. Because they wanted to, bring those people to justice, the ones who killed. And Ali ibn Talib, he wants to bring them, but at the moment, it wasn't the right time. But there are people in the middle who had played the game and played it very well in order to put this fight. The Muslim did not, the companion did not initiate the fight. It's the ones who are non-companions. And Aisha, she said to Abdullah ibn Umar, why didn't you prevent me? Why didn't you? Because you know that I was wrong. He said, I couldn't. Because the two men, they were on top of you. On top of you, that means they are at you all the time telling you. That is Zubayr and Talha. He couldn't do anything because he's the younger companion compared to them, they're much older than him. But Abdullah ibn Umar, he held himself. And that is why Ammar ibn Yasir radiallahu anhu, when he went to the pulpit and he put Al-Hasan radiallahu anhu Ali top of the pulpit on the third step, and he went on the bottom addressing the people. He said, Allah is testing you, O people. Are you going to follow the haqq? Are you going to follow the mother of the believer? Wallahi, she is the mother of the believer. Wallahi, she is the wife of the Prophet of Allah in this dunya and the akhirah. But yet she's mistaken. Are you going to follow her? Or follow the haqq? Allah is testing you now. And this was in Iraq when he made this khutbah. So when the companions are mentioned in a bad way, hold. Don't indulge yourself into it. Now, we all mention them in the best of ways. Ella from?
There's some Muslims that they try to
She was 18 when she was considering the marriage. I mean, that's what's when the Prophet of Allah died.
No, I'm saying they try to say, them hadith are not really right.
So Sahih Bukhari, right?
And I'm saying, where did they get this from?
Where did they get it from?
Yeah.
You ask them. I don't know. These are people who are secularists. They're not really people who are religious people. They could do what they could say whatever they like. We have Sahih al-Bukhari. Can I argue with Sahih al-Bukhari? For us, these are called in Arabic musallamat. It's like 1 + 1 is equal 2. Do you understand that? 1 + 1 equal 2. Can you make it 3? If they make it 3, then we will, inshallah, talk about it. You can't make it 3, 1 + 1, and Al-Imam al-Bukhari. As you can't argue with him. So say Sahih al-Bukhari. Who are these people? Forget about them. Don't even waste your time regarding them. Fadl.
Did the Prophet see a dream that he was marrying Fatima and the angel was carrying her in the cloth?
I have heard about this hadith, but I don't know authenticity-wise. Yes, I have heard about this. I've read it somewhere, but it's in my mind, I can't really... Is it? Okay, inshallah. Are you reading the hadith? We'll share it together as well. Now, go ahead. Well, the ifk story, it needs a class in itself. If you want me to mention the ifk, I mean, the companions, when I mentioned the companions is a biography, I mentioned most important thing is his virtues, his important events like the marriage of the Prophet ﷺ, his birth and his death, the name and the lineage. But I'm going to mention everything. Aisha radiallahu anha, I need about in herself 2-3 classes. But if you want me to go to the ifk story, I don't mind. Do you know what's the ifk? What is the ifk? The great lie. And this is mentioned in Surah An-Nur. Where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from above 7 heavens had exonerated Aisha radiallahu anha. Well, okay, I'll go with summary. Okay, the summary. The story is actually all of it to do with Abdullah ibn Ubay ibn Salul, the greatest of all the hypocrites. He is the one, we would call him in Arabic, tawalla kibrahu. He had taken on himself as a mission, a task, to pollute the lineage and to pollute and portray a different or a bad image about the Prophet ﷺ and his family. And this is a very big test where the honor of the Prophet of Allah is being tarnished. It was after the battle of Muraysi', which is Bani Mustaliq, where the Prophet ﷺ is heading back towards Medina. Lots of things had happened in that time. One of them, for example, the incident took place between an Ansari and a Muhajiri. When a Muhajiri kicked the backside of an Ansari, the Ansari, he said, "Oh Ansar," he said, "Oh Muhajiru," and the two came together and were about to fight. Prophet ﷺ was so angry. He said, "Are you still upon the Jahiliyyah things? And I'm between you, I'm amongst you. Dawah, leave it, for it stinks. This, oh Ansar, oh Muhajiru." Even the Ansar and Muhajirun are very good words, mentioned in the Quran and Sunnah. But when they are misused, Prophet ﷺ blamed them. So what are you doing? Allah blessed them. In the book, Al-Ansar, وَالسَّابِقُونَ الْأَوَّلُونَ مِنَ الْمُهَاجِرِينَ وَالْأَنصَارِ, Surah Al-Tawbah. Allah praises them. But when they use this in a way which is not right, Prophet ﷺ said, this is not right. Then what happened is that the Prophet ﷺ, he had Aisha with him. And Aisha, she'd been given a necklace as a gift from her sister Asma. Somehow, when she was in the camp, lost her necklace. So she started looking for the necklace. Those people decided to move, the army. When the army moved, they took the hawdaj. The hawdaj is like something they carry, like a little room you put it on top of the camel. Okay, I don't know what you call it, a cot. Okay, so when they carried that, Aisha, she says, we were light women at that time, yet we haven't become chubby. You know, the women when they get married and later on becomes what? Chubby. And this is, we're talking about the year 5 after Hijrah. It's not really, she's only married for 4 years yet. So she's still light, bones. So they couldn't tell the difference whether Aisha is in or not. So they carried it on top of the camel, believing that Aisha was inside. So the army moved, and when she went back, she saw that the army had moved. There's nobody there. So she waited, believing that the army later on will find out that she's not there and come back to take her. So she stayed there, and still, and this is, by the way, after the veil was being imposed. There was a man, companion, who's called Mistah. Mistah ibn Athatha. This companion, radiallahu anhu, he is known to be a person who used to sleep a lot. And he's been assigned as well to stay behind the army to see if there is what? If there is something missing, something the army had left something. Aisha, she says that she slept. Got tired and slept. So Mistah coming back into the army, looking what was happening, and he saw Aisha. She said he used to see me before the hijab, so he recognized me. Because when she slept, she had no veil. So he saw her, he recognizes Aisha, because he's seen her before the hijab was imposed. So he started to say, La ilaha illallah, Allahu Akbar, La ilaha illallah. Like, the members of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is like, Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. He said, what is taking place here? So as soon as she said that, I woke up on his voice saying, La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. So what he did, he brought the camel, he put it for me, and he went back. I went on top of the camel, and he started making the camel to follow the trace of the army. When Mistah followed the army, he caught up with them later on. He's been spotted by the hypocrites. And Abdullah ibn Ubay said, Aisha, in that top of the camel, she's behind the desert, God knows what they've been doing, that's what they say. So they accused her what? Of fornication. Because she was with Mustah. Okay? Not Mustah, Safwan. Subhanallah. You should have corrected me, Safwan. Now it's coming to my head. It's Safwan. Safwan al-Mu'attal. Mustah is the one who's talked about her. Safwan ibn Mu'attal. So Safwan, radiallahu anhu, he was taking her and then he's been accused of making an affair with her. Radiallahu anhu. And this rumor grew and grew, and everybody in the Medina started to talking about Aisha. And Aisha said, I don't know anything what is going around me. But the Prophet ﷺ, he had been informed by this. So he was upset, and he was waiting for revelation to dissociate his wife from this issue and exonerate her. But there wasn't. So she said, I never knew anything from the Prophet of Allah, any change, except that I didn't have that sort of tender or softness from him. He would come inside, how are you? Right? Okay, and then he leaves. But the smile that he used to have from him is not there. But she never thought that there is something to do with that the Prophet of Allah had heard about her fornicating and he's not really sure whether she did it or not. She never knew that. I mean, she never had in her mind. Until one day the Prophet ﷺ, he ascends the pulpit and he addresses the people. He said, there are some people who are harming my family. He's talking about Abdullah ibn Ubay. And I know nothing except for the good about my family. Then he consulted two people, Ali ibn Abi Talib and Usama ibn Zayd. Ali ibn Abi Talib, radiallahu anhu, He said, well, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not restrict you for women, lots of women. Go marry another one you want. Some Zaidi said, verily I know nothing except for what? Good about her. But if you want more, go and ask the girl, slave. She will tell you about her. Because the slave is all the time with Aisha. So when he went to ask the slave, she said, Wallahi, Messenger of Allah, I can't really say anything wrong about Aisha except that she is a girl from those youngsters. You know, the youngsters. You know, the youngsters, they don't really wake up like the old women early in the morning to do the food in the early. Not really. She just wakes up very late and then she eats whatever is ready for her, the food. Not like the old women where they get up and make the food and prepare. She doesn't do that. Then the Prophet ﷺ, he goes to Aisha and he wants now to tell her. Before he tells her this, there was an incident that took place that she became knowledgeable about this issue. One day she said that I wanted to go to the Manasa, which is the area where we defecate and relieve ourselves, which is far away from the Medina. Some people would accompany them just to help them. So the mother of Mistah, she went with her. So when she had finished what she wanted to do as relieving herself, she went back with Mistah. Mistah, something had happened to her, she tripled. She said, damn you, Mistah. Ta'isa Mistah, damn you, Mistah. She said, woe to what you said. Why are you saying this? Mistah is a companion. He's a good man. Even to your son, you're not supposed to say that. She said, you poor lady, you don't know what he has done. And Mistah is one of those people who is not a munafiq, but he indulged into the issue. He talked about it. He carried it. He did not say that, oh, I'm not going to indulge into it. So he's one of those people. So when she said, you don't know what's happening, and she told her everything, that's when she was really sort of, so upset. And now she could now rewind the whole tape. Why the Prophet of Allah is not really nice to me? Why and why and why? So she said, I started crying and crying and crying. And I went to the Prophet and asked him, do you give me permission, Messenger of Allah, to go to my parents? So he gave her the permission. When she was there, then the Prophet ﷺ comes to her and he says to her, Oh Aisha, we are the son of Adam. If you had done a sin, then it's better for you to confess. Don't worry, Allah, if you repent to Him and regret, will forgive you. So Aisha, she couldn't believe what she's hearing from the Prophet of Allah. And she said that my tears stopped. Nothing. His tears didn't stop. Then I looked to my father. I said, answer him. She said, what can I say to the Prophet of Allah? They're not sure as well themselves. So she said to her mother, answer the Prophet. What can I say to the Prophet? She said, well, I am a not learned person. I'm a young girl. And I'm not going to say to you except what? The father of Yusuf alayhi salam, Yaqub, he said to his sons, فَصَبْرٌ جَمِيلٌ وَاللَّهُ مُسْتَعَانُ عَلَى مَا تَصِفُونَ. Patience is good. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give me help against what you are saying to me. Allahu musta'an ala ma tasifun. This is really blaspheme. How can you say that about me? I'm not going to say that. Anything. And she turned her back, or gave her back to the Prophet ﷺ. And the Prophet ﷺ, he was, how many nights? 50 nights. Didn't have any revelation. True or not? You with me? Yes. Because you'd have told me the Safwan. 50 nights. And after that, the revelation came. When the Prophet ﷺ, he was there, he had this shivering, which is the salsalat al-jaras. Come to him, Raf Wahi, and after he was sweating, even it was cold, he used to sweat. And then after that, he was so happy. Came to Aisha, he said, Aisha, have a glad time. She said, is it from you or from Allah? He said, it's from Allah. He said, I will praise nobody except for Allah. She has got the right to say that. I'll praise nobody except for Allah. La ahmadu illa Allah. Because Allah is the one who said that I am innocent, not you, the Prophet ﷺ. And he, the Prophet ﷺ, commanded for those who are not the hypocrites, the good ones, to be what? Lashed and whipped, 80 lashes. One of them is Mistah ibn Athath, the son of that. And also there was a lady, she has whipped, and another person, 3 people that whipped because of that. As for the hypocrites, the Prophet ﷺ had nothing to do with them. The hypocrites anyway. And this is in general the story of Aisha radiallahu anha. And the story of Aisha, I would like everybody to read it on his own. For verily, I remember that Sheikh Ibn Baz, when he was being read to him, he couldn't continue out of crying because of how Aisha, she passed through those nights, 50 nights, people thinking that she's a fornicator, and she's the only one she knows that she's not a fornicator. How can she be stabbed in her honor? Allah musta'an. It's a great issue. When the lady, she's been stabbed in her honor, and nobody is to believe her. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So she said, verily, I felt, when this revelation came, then I thought, I am insignificant that Allah mentions me from 7 heaven in the verses to be recited until the day of resurrection. I thought the Prophet of Allah will have a revelation, Jibreel as-salam would come to him and she's innocent. But Quran to be revealed for me, I'm much more insignificant to be mentioned in the Quran. And the Shia, of course, they say that these verses are aimed at not Aisha, at Maria al-Qibtiyya. Liars. They're liars. They know that it's Aisha. Nothing to do with Maria al-Qibtiyya. That's what their interpretation for it. Wallahu a'lam. Jazakallahu khairan. And I think Abu Darda, we're going to be leaving him alone now. Right, go ahead.
Wasn't there anything about
Well, that's you reminded me of lots of things to add as well. Abu Bakr al-Mistah. Abu Bakr al-Mistah is from the non-direct family of Abu Bakr. And Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, he used to buy with his money people or slaves and set them free for the sake of Allah. From those people, he used to pay for them as in charity, Mistah. Can ينفق عليه. And when he gave and said what he said regarding Aisha, Abu Bakr, he did not stop spending on him because he believes maybe he's right. Look at that. I mean, who can do that? Spend money on someone and that person start talking about your daughter. Would you still spend money on it? Come on, tell me. Tell me which world you live in, which planet you come from. No way. Somebody accusing the honor of your daughter, whom you know she's your daughter, and you know her, and she's Aisha, and you still spend money on him. Because the Prophet ﷺ, he did not say anything. He did not protect his wife yet. The revelation is not there, so Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu. As soon as the revelation came that Aisha was innocent, Abu Bakr stopped. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent another verse, following up with that verse. وَلَا يَأْتَلِي. Those people who are ulul fadl, the ones who are with excellence, with virtues, that is, أَيَّعْفُ وَيَصْفَحُ, to pardon and to forgive and to start giving their charity back. Then Abu Bakr, upon hearing these verses, straight away he returned to spend upon Mistah. So he wants to have forgiveness from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that is why he kept as well spending money on Mistah radiallahu anhu. It's a mistake has been done by Mistah. And that companion, the human being. Now, another story.
Can you remind us about Aisha and Abdullah bin Zubayr in the Gold Cup?
Right, I'm going to forget about Abu Darda. So I'll leave it for another. Right. You want me to talk about the... Oh, this is in the... I don't know if I talked about it. And this is that Abdullah ibn Zubayr radiallahu anhu. Remember, Aisha, she becomes his maternal aunt. The maternal aunt has to be respected. And Abdullah ibn Zubayr said a word which should not be said. That he said, verily, if I was there, I will prevent her from saying what she had said. I would have really locked her up and not to say what she said. She shouldn't have said it. When Aisha, she heard this, that Abdullah ibn Zubayr, who is the son of Zubayr, and Zubayr is the husband of her sister, Asma, is saying this to his aunt. She said, Wallahi, I'm not going to speak to him. Now, Abdullah ibn Zubayr, he realized a mistake. So he wanted to speak to her, but she stopped, no way, that's it. Even she loves him. And this is the story that we have mentioned in Adab al-Mufrad, that he had to get two people in order to intercede. So, these two people, they made a plan with Abdullah ibn Zubayr. Upon entering on Aisha, they said, can we enter? She said, who is this? She said, me. She said, yes. All of us? She said, all of you. She didn't know who's that. Abdullah is with them. As soon as Abdullah was given the permission to come in, he pushed himself into the hijab. Hijab, because there's a door, and after that there is like a veil, curtain. The door is to open for those strangers up to the curtain. You're not allowed to go to the curtain because you're going to see the woman. So up to the curtain. But Abdullah ibn Zubayr, she says, mahram, his aunt. So he entered onto Aisha, hugging her. And those two men outside, they are helping him. Forgive him, please. Forgive him, please, please. And she doesn't want to touch him. And he's hugging her, his aunt hugging her. And verily, after she had settled down to the issue of accepting him and pardoning him, she had actually as well expiated for her vow, because she vowed not to talk to him. She expiated for her vow, and she said, I promised and I made a vow not to talk to him, but I talk to him now. And verily, that to show you that if something had happened like this, boycotting is allowed. For the father to boycott his son, an aunt or an uncle boycotting his cousin or his nephew or his niece because they are bad to them. And this boycotting is not limited to 3 days or 4 days. Now,
And the issue of the age of Aisha.
huh? Stage of Aisha, sorry?
The age
Stage of Aisha.
is now special not believers are making of it.
Possible.
And the Muslims ask them now apologetic, they try to
Apologize, yeah, to be like,
using now.
to take them to different
Some of
sides.
them say that I will not do it myself, but so
He wants to be apologetic about it.
apologetic, yeah.
That's true. Subhanallah.
So how are we doing to handle this issue?
I have answered this question a long time ago. And my answer is as follows. Right? If we want to make a survey, a research, into the youngest people who got married, you'll find England #1. They had a girl, she's 5 years old. It's there on the internet. If the internet lies, I don't know. Sheikh Google told us. The youngest father and mother, just put there. 6 years old, England. 7 somewhere else. Europeans, 10, youngest father and mother. And you remember this UK, not a long time ago, you were alive, when the youngest father is about 11 or 12, can you remember? And his wife is about 10 years old. Then his wife, there's fornicators. Boy is fuddling about with a girl. No marriage. And what happened? Was that disgrace? No, they were honored. They were, hooray, youngest father, the youngest father. What is it correct? Is it to let the girl and the boy, they get together in a disaster mixing schools? And don't tell me they're young. I have seen and I've heard with my ears in a school which is supposed to be preparatory school. Preparatory school is up to the age of what? 11? 11. Up to 11. And that boy was dragged by his mother, I remember. And he's about maybe, I don't know, maybe maximum 8 years old, 9 years old. Did you pick up a girlfriend yet? Wallah, I've heard this. Did you pick up a girlfriend yet? He's 9 years old. And he said, no, mum, not yet. No, mum, not yet. SubhanAllah. Then I meet a woman who is a mother of a girl who happens to be in the school where my son goes. My son, at that time, he was not more than 7 years old. And that girl, same age, 7 years old. There's no aura. They don't need anything. But they teach them. I met them in the GPS. Was waiting. I didn't know. So, because I see her picking up her girl, so she recognized, and she talking to my son. Do you like the skate of my girl? Do you like the skate of my daughter? Yeah, I was really shocked. She's talking to my little boy, 7 years old. Do you like the skate of my daughter? Allahul Musta'an. What sort of civilization we are in? And then you say to me that 9 years old, Aisha radiallahu anha, who's her father, known as Siddiq, getting her married with his consent. And she described that how she's been taken from their swing to the marriage, and she understands that. Let me tell you something, not being apologetic. We are in Islam, we don't get married to a woman who does not know marriage. If he doesn't know the consummation, the bed thing, we're not allowed to get her married to these things. She has to know these things. She has to know about it. She's old enough to know about it. If she knows about it, never mind, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, doesn't matter. Condition of puberty in Islam for the girl is not there. It's only for the male. The male who is the one who is going to marry her, puberty, he has to be reaching his puberty. And puberty can be reached from 13, 14, 15 is the maximum. 15 is the maximum. That means he will be straight away an adult and he's allowed to get married. But as I say, the 8 and 9 years old girls these days is different definitely from the 9 years old at that time. I'm not being apologetic here, but I'm stating a fact. But there are 9 years old who are mature. But I'm talking about the general mode, isn't it? That these girls these days, they know nothing. But they're not being taught to be taking responsibility, if you understand me. They are being put into the mentality that you can't get married, you could have free sex. No marriage, but free sex, no problem. The marriage has to be up to when she is about, I don't know, God knows, 30 plus. Okay? But free sex is no problem. Is that right? Is this right? Is this a healthy society? They're admitting that at the moment there is this called sex hunger amongst the youth. What are they going to tackle it with? How are they going to prevent these people? How are they going to give immunization to them? Is it to more availability, more of opening? And the education of this is being pushed down as little as well. It was before as the age of 16, now it's age of 12. Isn't it? Educate their children? What is it? Younger than 12. Younger than 12. 11 to tell them about these things.
One day I year 7. And this week, one day I year 7.
SubhanAllah. Allah understand. And I think by this, they are immunizing the children. They're not immunizing the children. You're not. The morality is not there. The morale is not there. Allah understand. Save yourselves and your family from the hellfire, guys. That's what we should do. Save yourself as much as you can. Now, further.
On that point, can we argue with them to say that the Muslims done everything to abuse the Prophet in Islam, and that they never use this as a slander, so in that society it wasn't seen as anything bad. Muslims never used it against
No, they use it.
They did use it, Aisha.
Yes, they used Aisha radiallahu anha to be young. How can you marry somebody? They used it. They used Aisha, they used as well Zainab. When he married her, she was the wife of Zayd ibn Haritha. They used as well this, that one. They don't stop using anything. And those people don't argue back with defending myself. I would argue with them, if you believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and you believe that He is the messenger of the Prophet sallallahu, then you will be willing to believe whatever comes after that. But if you're not believing in the whole matter, why should I really explain to you this and that? Unless you find from him that a person wants to understand, but not to argue. Don't argue. Listen to Imam Ahmad. We believe in this, we truthfully, and we don't attest to it, we don't debate in it. Why should we debate? Okay? Lakum dinukum waliya din. You have your religion, I have my religion. In their book, Sulaiman alayhi salam was married to 99 women. In their book. Okay? I'm not saying right or wrong, I'm just saying. That's what is their book. In their book, the Prophet Ilyasa, he had, which one prophet he stole? It's a prophet he stole as well. Dawood, he stole. He's a thief. Their prophet, not my prophet. Prophet doesn't steal. There's no prophet from the prophet that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent would do major sins. But for them, there's no problem. He fornicates. I mean, Dawood, not even that, he did worse than this, according to them. David, not Dawood, sorry. David. Dawood did not do it. David did it. David, what he did, he wanted to seduce a woman from the wife of a soldier. So what he did, he put the soldier in the front line. So he could be killed and he takes his wife. What a prophet. He's just a prophet. Even if he repents to Allah, you will not accept his words with his background history. It's not good history. And then they argue back, he has to make these mistakes. He has to make these mistakes in order that we are closer to them. Subhanallah. This is the same argument that Jim Swaggart. You know Jim Swaggart? Jim Swaggart. Swaggart and Jim Baker, all these televangelists. You know about that? When they were caught with a prostitute. What is their justification for that? Well, David, he did it. So if the prophet did it, and repented, why shouldn't we do it as well? That's a justification. Jimmy Swaggart and Baker, their justification of that was this, because it's in the Bible. Well, if he did it for David, why shouldn't I do it? So, televangelists, they were caught with a prostitute. Alhamdulillah, now they're burnt. Nobody listens to them because they're lives. But after what? After tantalizing millions of people. You know what they told these people? They don't come for free like you come here for free. No, they pay a big, massive ticket to come to their talks. They buy a lot of money. They pay a lot of money to get there. But, subhanallah. Now, Fadl. Uncle, do you have any questions?
Yeah, there's a private.
No.
Question. So you asked him that at the time of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, at the time of the Prophet,
What's that question? I forgot about that question.
the Aisha, who he married,
Oh, did the mushrik of the time of the Prophet, the mushrik would not use it at the time. Because at that time, they were doing worse. They used to bury the girls when they're alive, the mushriks. The mushriks, they were as well marrying, fornicating with prostitutes. You remember those women used to have a man coming to her, and after that she brings a child, and then she will line them up, say, you are the father of the child, that's it. She likes that one, you are the father of the child. This is how it used to be before the Prophet. So they don't really, for them, this is nothing. Okay, this is nothing. So but they're talking about now modernization, and they call it so-called civilization. They always use this, isn't it? And that's why the brother asked me about it, because he's been hearing this, and the brother's being apologetic about it. Well. Subhanallah. Don't be. Now, we're going to have this last 3 minutes.
Something revealed regarding her, something regarding the end, or something else revealed regarding her.
Aisha radiallahu anha, she's the daughter of Bakr and Abu Bakr, the Prophet of Allah sallallahu, regarding what happened when she, one day, this is another story, when she left the the necklace, qilada of hers as well. The people that started looking for it, and they had to camp for a long time until the water ran out. And Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, he started blaming her. What you have done to us, what you have done to us, what you have done to us, all the people are because of you have run out of water, because of your necklace. Anyway, the camel went up and they found the necklace. And then the Prophet of Allah had the verses of Tayammum, Surah Al-Ma'idah. All the Tayammum verses, they came to him. So, when the Tayammum came, verses, Prophet of Allah, he came to the Abu Bakr, he said, مَا هَذِهِ أَوَّلُ بَرَكَتِكُمْ يَا آلِ أَبِي بَكْرٍ. This is not the first barakah of yours or the family of Abu Bakr. That means because of you, Allah sent us what? Dry ablution, no need water. So that's, you need to ask me about the second one? Of Aisha radiallahu anha? Can anybody remind us? And it's not coming to my mind. If you remind me of something, then I kick in. So is there another barakah for Aisha? Okay, remember two. There's more women than two, but definitely. At the moment, maybe Uncle the tea is not strong enough. No.
So what was the name of the family or the candidate and the when Abu Bakr went to this man and his wife to talk about the possible other person who was the proposal was going on and negotiation was in the process before Prophet proposal came. What was the name of them?
Proposal to who?
For Aisha.
Mut'im al-Adi, his son. Oh, right. سبحانك اللهم بحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك.